Hi, this is Risa and welcome to my Stitch Along series. This video complements the Wild Floss kit review I did in my channel, which you can watch by clicking on the link above. Until now, I've been mostly stitching all of my projects with embroidery floss, but when I saw this on Etsy with its vibrant colors, I just absolutely had to try it. So this stitch along will give you a feel of how it's like to stitch with thicker yarn as compared to embroidery floss. So let's begin. Here's the gorgeously colored bundle of yarn that I will be using to stitch this project. Now, because I've chosen a navy blue dark shade of fabric, I've traced the pattern onto a DMC Magic paper. Now, this is a soluble paper that you can use to stick onto your cloth. So all the instructions here at the back, and once you finish embroidering, all you need to do is put it in water and this will dissolve. Having the magic paper is super handy. It has an adhesive backing, so after you've traced the pattern, you simply remove the backing from behind and apply it onto the fabric. So you just have to do it a bit carefully so that it doesn't sort of all get stuck before you apply it. And then you just sort of smooth it out on the fabric. As you can see, it adheres really well to the fabric. I'm just going to cut off this little fold here so that I have a smooth surface to work with, and I'm going to use the 6-inch hoop that was included in the kit. So here's all the gorgeous yarns, and I can't wait to start working with it. Now, one of the challenges will be that I've never really worked with such thick floss on embroidery before. So let's see how that'll work using the threader that's included in the kit. Let's see, okay, so here's the needle. It's fairly large, and here's the needle threader that you insert in the eye of the needle, I guess. So let me try that with one of the thicker yarns. I've mounted my hoop onto a hoop stand and organized all of the yarn in a thread organizer, which I use mainly for embroidery floss, but it seems to work here as well. Now I'm going to use the threader to thread the thickest yarn in the pack, so let's see how that works. I've never used a threader like this before, so here it goes. I'm finding it really hard to pull it through the eye of the needle. It just doesn't seem to budge, so I'm somehow doing something wrong. Anyway, I give up, and now I'm just gonna thread it the traditional way, and that is to sort of fold it over the eye of the needle, so you get a nice clean edge, which you can then insert into the eye, like so, and then pull it through. So there we have it. I got the yarn through the needle. That's great. First step accomplished. Great, so now let's get on with the stitching. So I'm having trouble pulling the yarn through the fabric, and I'm afraid it's going to ruin the fabric after a few pulls. Okay, that came through well, but I think I'm going to use an awl that I have with me to create holes in the fabric. I use this a lot with ribbon embroidery with larger ribbons, so luckily I have it in stock. You can buy it on Amazon, and it's usually used for work with leather, and so that helps at least create the hole in the fabric. As you can see, it didn't help a whole lot, but it did create sort of the space that I needed. I'm gonna put the needle through that hole, and yep, still require a little bit more tugging than normal, but did come through much easier this time. So I'm going to do this essentially for all of the thick yarn that I have. I just don't want to ruin the gorgeous blue fabric that I'm working on. I'm going to move on to the yellow yarn, and since it's smaller, it's come through the fabric more easily, but As you can see, I have to fiddle around with it a bit to organize it in the fabric. Here is a French knot that I'm doing. Again, super simple compared to the blue yarn that I used. And I think it'll get easier from here on, since all of the other yarns are thinner than the blue one. So as you can see in the video, I've finished the bright pink yarn, and now I'm moving on to using the red yarn in the packet to do some satin stitches here. So basically, I'm just picking up the colors as I go, and there's no real instruction on what colors or yarn I should use first for the pattern. So this gives me some artistic freedom, I guess, and I guess every piece that will be stitched by this kit will be unique in its own way. So that's really nice, and kudos to Wild Floss for giving us that freedom. Please don't forget to click on the like button if you like this video, and also to subscribe to my channel to get updates on my latest stitch along videos that I will be uploading. I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to do a basket weave with the blue yarn here, just to give it a different look and some texture. I love the fact that I can sort of just experiment with the yarn and do whatever I want with the design that's been provided. And when I choose to, I follow the instructions in the instruction booklet. So here, for example, the instruction says to use seed stitches, which is essentially just small straight stitches. And that's what I'm doing, sort of random small seed stitches in different directions to give it texture. So what I like about this kit is that you have that freedom. If you're a beginner and you're not comfortable, you can just follow the instructions using whatever color yarn you fancy. And if you're a more advanced stitcher, you can sort of use your discretion as to what you want to do. So you're not tied down by the design instructions. Here, for example, I've just completed a bullion knot. My advice with this kit would be to go with the flow and do what you please and enjoy stitching in the process. One thing's for sure, this is a great starter kit for beginners. You get to practice a lot of French knots, as you can see, and straight stitches. So definitely recommend it as a beginner's kit. I've finally gotten to the last part of the embroidery pattern here. So this is just stitching random small seed stitches with the turquoise blue thinner yarn. To finish off, I'm just soaking the embroidery in water, and as you can see, the magic paper has dissolved and you can see the embroidery and the fabric quite clearly now. I'm going to let this soak a little bit, and once that's done, I'll take it out and dry it off in a towel like so that I don't get any wrinkles when it's dry. So now that it's dry, I've ironed it all a bit, and I'm going to mount it on the 6 by 6 inch old canvas that I have. As you can see, there's a little bit of a hole in it, but that's fine because I'll be able to cover it with this fabric here. Now there are two ways of doing this. I can either remove all the staples and remove the canvas and just staple the fabric onto a plain frame. That would avoid any lumps and bumps in the front of the embroidery here. But I've decided I'm going to keep the canvas because that's going to be a nice natural backing to my embroidery, and I wouldn't have to finish it off at the back. First off, I'm going to place the embroidery in the center of the canvas and allow about 5 centimeters of a seam to be able to fold over the canvas. And this also allows me to sort of tuck the fabric in before I staple it. That way I ensure that none of the fabric unravels at the back. So I'm using a Rapid R23 staple gun here that you can get from any craft store, and you can place your staples in. Now, an important thing to remember is when I first placed it, I placed the staples sort of downwards, but you've got to place it up, and then you just slot the cover closed. So it's a bit tricky. You need to sort of push it a little bit, yeah, like so. And now that's ready to sort of staple. And I've also gotten a canvas stretcher to stretch the fabric if I need to over the canvas. It's really super easy to use the staple gun. I am just folding a seam here, and you just take the staple gun and staple that fabric in place. And here in the corners, I'm folding it like you would for a gift wrap, tucking the other fabric in and then stapling it. So you just go on in this manner for all 4 corners of your canvas piece. That's all done, and now there is the stretched embroidery on a canvas, and it looks super modern and it goes well with the abstract design. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful. Don't forget to click on the subscribe, like, and notification buttons. See you again next time. Bye bye.